City have Sane replacement in mind. United nab Barca youngster. Napoli plan a spending spree. It's all gone wrong at Valencia, and a transfer roundup coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, Matt Frolick, you are the Onefootballers, and this is the Daily News. So first up, and should Manchester City sell Sane, which definitely looks like it's going to happen because they've been talking about it for the last 8 months, they apparently have a replacement in mind in the shape of Aston Villa captain Jack Grealish. Now, second to Sane, Grealish is probably another one of the most talked about transfers of this year, and that's because it seems like he could potentially go anywhere. Liverpool were apparently interested at one stage, although that seems to have died down with the fact that Jurgen Klopp says they won't be spending a lot of money this summer, and the two front runners, maybe alongside Tottenham as well, are Manchester United and Manchester City. As we've spoken about before, the thing is with him moving to Manchester United, I can't see him getting in the team ahead of the likes of Bruno Fernandes or Paul Pogba. And the same thing goes for Manchester City. Like, he is not a direct Leroy Sané replacement. And I just think Grealish will go alongside a long list of players who have been brilliant at a lower club, sort of a big fish in a small pond, moved to City, and then their career's just gone downhill. Think of when they signed like Scott Sinclair from Swansea, who was brilliant for them, went to City, barely played, didn't really do much, then his career went down the pan a few years later. The same thing with Jack Rodwell. My word, has he taken a downward turn. He was playing fantastically at Everton, moved to Manchester City, the same thing happened. The same thing with Wilfred Bonney, who also moved from Swansea. There were just so many players who, and you know, I understand it. If you're in a poorer team or relegated team and then Manchester City come in with big money for the club, massive money for your wages, I get why you'd move and jump at the opportunity, but surely Grealish needs to, above anything and above any sort of pay packet, negotiate his playing time on the pitch. He'll be a brilliant player, and if he plays at Manchester City, I've no doubt he'll do really well on the team. It's just how much is he actually going to play? For me, I feel like Grealish does really, really well when he's one of the bigger voices, better players, the more relied upon, responsible guys within the team. Like Aston Villa, he is the captain. He's the one they look to. He really takes the mantle on his shoulders to provide for the team. At Manchester City, when he becomes another squad player, sometimes he's left out for no reason at all, just because City have got better players. He's sitting on the bench for long periods, maybe getting the odd League Cup game here and there. That's not really what you want to see from his career. Managed to get that sentence out just. Anyway, obviously, if they do go ahead and sign him, as I mentioned before, he won't be a direct replacement for Leroy Sané, which then leads me to believe that City will go out and actually buy a replacement for Leroy Sané, which then means that Jack Grealish will have one more attacking midfielder to try and overcome to get into the starting 11. In my opinion, don't do it, Jack. Or maybe move to Tottenham. But anyway, talking of Manchester City and their crosstown rivals Manchester United, who apparently have done very well to nab a Barcelona youngster. One of the best players of the La Masia Academy is Marc Jurado, and on Monday he mentioned on his Instagram that he would be leaving the club. He's leaving Barcelona with many fond memories, he said, and he thanks all of them for his development, but now he wants a few first-team opportunities. The thing is, as a right-back, he's got to overcome Sergio Roberto and Nelson Semedo, which isn't the impossible task. They're not the best right backs in the world, but is also very, very difficult, especially considering they've got loads of years left. But having said that, if he moves to Manchester United, he's having to overcome Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who's even younger than Roberto and Nelson Semedo, and in some ways a little bit better, certainly defensively. And also Diogo Dalot, who, okay, he's kind of fighting Wan-Bissaka and losing that battle for the right-back spot, but also someone who's very good and very young as well. So I'm not so sure that this would make much sense. This deal isn't actually complete just yet, but it's another one of those where what is happening at Barcelona? If their young, brilliant La Masia Academy graduates can be taken by other clubs, you've really got to ask where on earth the pathway is from the youth team to the first team. I mean, we had Xavi Simons, that guy with the amazing hair, who moved to PSG. Fair enough, they did offer a 16-year-old 100k a week, but he obviously saw a route into the PSG first team more than he did into the Barcelona first team. Things have happened in the past with the likes of Hector Bellerin as well, Cesc Fabregas, all moving to England because they saw more playing opportunities. I think Barca really have to kind of look at themselves because in the space of one day, a 16-year-old talent from their academy has left because he's not going to get enough game time, but they've brought in a 30-year-old midfielder. But moving on though, and to Napoli, who look like they're going to be planning a massive spending spree, only if they can sell a few players first. Apparently, they're going to Lille with 100 million euros, and in return, they want Nigerian striker Victor Osimhen and Brazilian defender Gabriel Magalhaes. Now, he is the one that you've heard has been linked with Everton a lot, but it looks as though he could be moving to Serie A. I've got loads of questions with this. First off, where on earth are Napoli getting 100 million? Well, it looks like they'll be selling Arkadiusz Milik, the Polish forward, and Kalidou Koulibaly. Now, this is the one which is really going to be of interest to plenty of teams around Europe. Where on earth Koulibaly will go next season? If they sell him and Milik, I think they'll have enough money to pull off the transfer of Osimhen and Gabriel as well. The thing is though, and we talk about players not really getting into the team, I'm not so sure this is a good move for Osimhen. Yes, if they sell Koulibaly, Gabriel's a natural replacement at centre half, brilliant. That fits, that sits there nicely. With Osimhen, right, Mertens has just signed a new deal. Yes, Milik will be leaving, but it doesn't start all the time. Insigne's still there. There's talk of Higuain returning to Napoli. They've still got Irving Lozano, who's yet to reach his best at Napoli since signing from PSV last summer. Osimhen's going to face quite a struggle to get the regular games that he's getting at Lille. I think historically, Napoli are a bigger club than Lille. I think they're going to do more over the long run than Lille would. But if you're looking at the present day, Osimhen is starting in the Champions League for a Lille side. That's pretty good, right? Compared to Napoli, who are on a bit of a downward turn and may not even make the Europa League this season. Anyway, much like with the Manchester City deal for Jack Grealish, if they come in with big money and promising big contracts and this and that, I can see definitely why both of them would move. But away from some transfer news and to some managerial and sporting director changes at Valencia, where everything is just going wrong. I mean, there was reports of a rift in the change room after their loss to Eibar last week, and things have just gone from bad to worse from Albert Celades. Their coach has been fired. Now, as we said, that loss to Eibar was the third since they came back from the enforced break due to COVID-19. It now means that Valencia have won 2 in their last 13 matches. This isn't the kind of Valencia we saw earlier in the season. I mean, first off, it was a shock that they sacked Marcelino earlier in the campaign as well, after all that he did, getting them into the Champions League. But when Celades came in, he had some pretty good results. There were wins away at Chelsea, there were wins away at Ajax, breaking through to the last 16 in the Champions League, and a favourable draw against Atalanta, which they couldn't convert into a Champions League quarter-final. Anyway, since then, as I mentioned, their form has been absolutely terrible, but it gets even worse because sporting director Cesar Sanchez has also left the club as well. Apparently, he's left the club because he feels absolutely ashamed and embarrassed. He went in on Monday morning, told all the players that the coach would still be there by the end of the week, that everything was going to be fine. And a few hours later, the owner, Peter Lim, turned around and sacked the manager, meaning that Cesar Sanchez was feeling a little bit sheepish, so he decided to resign from his role as well. Things, as he said, from going really well for Valencia in the last few years, has slightly taken a downward turn. So lastly but not least, a quick roundup of the rest of the day's transfer news, where Levan Kurzawa, despite the fact it looked like he was going to be leaving on a free to all sorts of clubs, has signed a new 4-year deal at PSG, but don't rule out this being just so they can charge a transfer fee for him if he does want to leave. Elsewhere, and the stalwarts Gigi Buffon and Giorgio Chiellini have signed new 1-year deals with Juventus. Alongside this, Azerbaijan are in talks with Roy Keane to make the Irishman their new manager. Quite scary times for the Azerbaijani national players. And lastly but not least, the transfer rumour that we're talking about for the last week, so much so that I didn't want to go over all the same points again, is that the deal that takes Pjanic from Juve to Barca and Arta from Barca to Juve has been completed and will officially go through at the end of the current season. So there you have it. That is all from me for today for the Daily News. But you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Whilst you're at it, you can smash the like button and continue to give us feedback on the brand new Onefootball brand. Thank you so much to all of you who gave your feedback in yesterday's videos. It is always much appreciated. Anyway, have a great day. That is all from me, and I will see you guys later.